A fourth American Ebola patient arriving in the U.S., carefully walking out of an ambulance into Emory University Hospital in Atlanta to be treated in this isolation unit by doctors and nurses who have been through this before.
We have a well-developed team. We're working well together as we did the previous time. We reassessed after our previous two patients went home, looked over our protocols, and we feel very comfortable with them.
The Ebola virus is spreading like wildfire and devouring everything in its path. Those are the words of the Liberian defense minister when it was revealed this week there are over 1,200 recorded deaths in that country alone from this disease, a 68% rise in infections over the past 3 weeks, and a fear Liberia is about to collapse under spread of the disease. The world has turned to America for help. That means money. And seeing as afflictions such as Ebola spread with such ease, is it something America simply cannot turn down? Welcome to MidPoint, Chair of the Columbia University Institutional Biosafety Committee and Professor in the Department of Epidemiology, also at Columbia, Dr. Stephen Morse. Dr. Morse, thanks for being here today.
My pleasure to be with you.
I do not want to create a panic. Actually, I am not looking to be that kind of an alarmist here. But the numbers that I just talked about here, also there's a study out from Oxford University that says this disease could spread through 22 countries very quickly. When you look at all this, honestly, the words global pandemic come to mind immediately. Are there those who are whispering and not wanting to say it out loud that we are perhaps on the verge of that disaster?
Well, we've never seen an Ebola outbreak that has been this large, that's moved into cities, and that really behaves much more like a more conventional type of flu outbreak or SARS or something like that. So we obviously think that in much of Africa, where the infrastructure is not strong, where public health is not strong, where the government may not have strong relationships with the communities, and where the medical system is obviously also not very strong, there is a real possibility of Ebola being introduced there and spreading within hospitals or within family settings, as we've seen. It's unlikely that it would be a threat to in fact, I think it's extremely unlikely that it could be a threat to North America or Western Europe, simply because we have the infrastructure to contain it, to treat the patients. If someone has awareness, they'll isolate the patients and contain the disease, as we saw at Emory, at Nebraska, and a few other places. And also Ebola does not really naturally occur here and doesn't have any place to go other than from person to person, and it doesn't spread that well. But in Africa, the situation is quite different. There are many parts of the continent where Ebola is already established and where this could easily come in.
So the short answer then for people who are watching right now and who have already heard the panic of a lot of others out there, short answer is no.
The short answer is it has the possibility of wider spread, and it could have tremendous economic and, of course, personal effects, tragic effects, and destabilizing effects on countries if it continues.
All right, now let's look then at that infrastructure. You used that word just a few moments ago. I want you to hear from Karen Langren. She's the Special Representative of the Secretary General and Coordinator of United Nations Operations in Liberia. Here's her talking about that specific item, the infrastructure that's necessary.
What we mustn't forget is that there are other crises lurking in the shadow of Ebola. The regular health system has collapsed, bringing the potential for other health problems in its wake. The economy has suffered significantly. There are food shortages being reported and increased food prices in the country. Several political processes have now been put off due to Ebola. So there are broader implications and reverberations of Ebola to which we have to be extremely attentive.
So, Dr. Morse, then taking this infrastructure into account here, then, would it be your opinion and that of many of the medical officials, the medical experts, then, that as far as that is concerned, the health system, when we talk about the fact that it can and very likely will spread in Europe, areas such as Liberia, other countries there, that the American health system is secure enough, is safe enough, and is sound enough that that's the main reason, the main defense that we have against Ebola really taking hold here?
In general, I think that's true. And the only way Ebola is going to occur here, someone will come in with an infection, and if, as happened in Nigeria, the first physician or the customs officials who see the patient, don't realize that this could be a serious infectious disease, then there might be some exposure similar to what happened in Nigeria. That would be the worst case, and I think it's very unlikely because people have both a great awareness and the medical personnel have been spending a lot of time training and thinking about this, and we do have the proper procedures in place.
What is the prevailing thought right now as to the spread of this? Because as I read, I see a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts about several species of fruit bats carrying Ebola without showing symptoms, and apparently this comes down to the cooking of what they call bush meat, because there are people there who then eat these animals, and that is the possible way, the most likely way that it is spread. How are we doing there? Is that pretty much what people are thinking as the main possibility?
Well, we think that fruit bats, in fact, are the natural hosts or the original source of Ebola. People can get it from eating, obviously, infected fruit bats, or chimpanzees. Some other animals can also become infected. The evidence in this case suggests that the initial first patient or two probably got infected that way, going into the forest in Guinea and perhaps coming in contact with droppings left behind by or from a bat that has Ebola virus. After that, the spread was person to person, requiring close contact. But once the person got sick, obviously, there were a number of people who did have close contact, taking care of this patient, family people, people preparing the body for burial, people at the funeral in Sierra Leone.
Let's talk about the money being spent here now. The European Commission will commit about $181 million. The contribution from the United States will be about $75 million. And there are people who are saying, why are we spending money here? There are people who are complaining that America should not be bearing this type of a burden here. However, other side of that argument, want to see which side you're on here, says that if America doesn't get involved, that becomes the problem. We must get involved in order to be part of the international effort to stop this. All right, what's the reality here in your opinion?
Well, I think people all over the world do look to U.S. leadership. And, I think it's important in terms of our showing that we care and showing our ability to take that leadership position. In addition, we're in the best position to do it. It's also in our self-interest. Ebola shows the many weaknesses in these systems throughout Africa and elsewhere, and strengthening all of these systems will prevent perhaps one disease that we don't yet know about that could spread even further than Ebola. That's hypothetical, but I think it's going to happen sooner or later. So strengthening these systems will protect us in more ways than just Ebola. But it's not just the money. We need personnel down there on the ground. There simply are not enough personnel to do all the work that needs to be done.
About 90 seconds left. We're talking about drugs now that have some effect. We've seen, of course, the Americans who've come back here and who now have no issue. They don't have any Ebola left in their bloodstream now at this point. In your opinion, and in the best possible professional opinion of doctors and medical experts, how long will it take to eradicate Ebola?
Eradicate, I think, is not possible because it has another natural host and it's going to stay there. And that's fine as long as we can control it. And I think it's a question of how long to control this outbreak. And people are predicting months, given the pace at which it's being done now, unless we really step up the pace.
So then this is something that we are going to unfortunately have to learn to live with for the rest of our lives, and certainly down at least in current recorded history, because one way or another, it's not going away. Even Mother Nature's not going to take care of this one.
It's not going to go away, and I think we should learn a lesson from this, that we really need to strengthen these systems to prevent something we may not yet know about, which could be the next Ebola.
Please don't even start that. You said the next Ebola. You've already got people now starting to think, because that's going to...
No, I don't want to worry anyone, but...
That's going to be the next discussion that we're going to have down the road. Hopefully it won't be nearly as bad as this. Dr. Stephen Morse, thank you so much for your time and for your honesty here. Obviously, we'll talk again. Let's hope we talk with better news next time.
Thank you. Glad to be
All right.
with you.
Thank you very much. And just to go ahead and make the point about this right now, Ebola did not exist in West Africa until this year's epidemic, and now nearly 2,300 people dead from the virus. It's not as if this is all of a sudden that something has popped up and gone slowly. This is becoming a true global issue, hopefully not to reach us. Later on this hour, not just what are big companies doing to protect your credit cards from hackers, but what in reality can they do? And after the break, slowing down Vladimir Putin is the wrong tack. It's what America and others must do to stop the madman before something unimaginable happens. That and so much more coming up right here on MidPoint, where every day we question everything.